Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hi, red.olaughlin here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening on the Wise Ones on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. We are a worldwide audience, and that's why we are in all different time zones. Today, Dr. Feliks Kravets will be joining me. He is an expert, super expert on cybersecurity, has a doctorate, and he works in this field all the time. I was amazed when I had a conversation with him as part of a networking event. I said, "Hey, doctor, we need to get together and chat some more," and we did. And it was just an amazing conversation. So I said, "Doctor, you really need to be on the show." And so anyway, here we are today, Dr. Feliks Kravets, and he is a cybersecurity guy who's going to tell you what you need to know. So please join us, doctor.
Hi, thank you for introduction. Right, great to see you. Great to hear everyone. And my name is Dr. Feliks Kravets. I'm founder and main coach of the company called Cybersecurity Easy. Even though it's called Cybersecurity, we actually offer the social engineering training. So with specifically that respect, we help people and businesses to be more educated on specifically on a social engineering part of the cybersecurity, which is a human factor.
Okay, why don't we talk first off? We'll get into social engineering here in just a second. But cybersecurity, that's something we hear all the time. This company was hacked, whatever. Just kind of give me a 1 minute description of why cybersecurity is important and just in general, how does it affect people?
Sure. It's a great question. Thank you for asking. Probably everybody, one way or another, affected or heard about somebody in the family or at the work or on business who are affected by cybersecurity. It's a big deal. We talking about all type of hackers attacks on a daily basis from major news, and unfortunately, there is no way to be 100% safe. The only thing we can do is to be more educated. the total number of dollars that were published, based on published data, in terms of how much hackers were able to get from our society worldwide, was about $6 billion. And those $6 billion were reported back to, I believe, 2022. So it's expected to go to $10.5 billion in 2025. If you look into United States data that was reported by multiple nonprofit agencies, privacyrights.org is one of them. That specific website stored and offering to the public information about 2 billion records stolen from United States citizens and residents. 2 billion, it's a huge number if you think about population of the United States, which is, I believe, is under 340 million people. In other words, each one of us, information probably is stolen already. It is somewhere. And the main thing that we can do is to know how to prevent this from happening. And in case if somebody is approaching us, how to minimize the risk. Unfortunately, there is no way to cut this risk completely. And if you think of a career, cybersecurity is a really great field. If you think about it, companies laying off and outsourcing a lot of people. Cybersecurity is always on the top, one of the top paid, no matter if you work for private sector or for government. And it's a great thing that we need for every company, for every team. Thank you.
Okay, so in cybersecurity, when I think about it, in fact, I think I've had 2 letters this year that tells me my data may have been breached. There was so many records that were taken, so I may have a problem. Well, I may never see anything this year. It may be something that pops up down the road, but there's a security issue with some of my data. I had a neighbor probably middle of COVID, I'm guessing, and all of a sudden he couldn't get into his computer. And they sent him an email saying, for a mere $500, we'll allow you back into your computer. So that's one where he was actually deprived of his data. And I'm sure these things happen. So it's just not a mere fact that my data is being lost in the system. It may affect me more generally in the fact that I can't use something that I want to use. Or I guess in the area of, we've just seen it lately in headlines, where with AI, all of a sudden there's pictures of you out there that were never taken, but are embarrassing, and people want money not to show them or whatever. So it's one of those things that we may not even know we have a problem until it's too late. Other ones we know the minute we pick up something that's not working, what's wrong. So it's a major problem for everyone. Now, you had said you used the term social engineering. That was a foreign term to me when I was looking up stuff in regard to talking today. And I think you said 90% of all the data breaches that we see have some human element to it. So tell me a little bit about social engineering.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Very good question. Social engineering is the way for attackers to use the human, all of us, to try to get our data. It might be a phone call that you received from IRS, which is not IRS. We call it phishing phone calls. It might be email that you received from your bank, asking if you just made $5,000 transaction and you just purchased something on Amazon and has link to say yes or no. So when you click no, another page will be open on your cell phone or on your computer, which might not be necessarily the bank page. So it might be a phishing website. So you will log in, and this way hackers will have your credentials taken. So there's multiple ways to approach people and to approach businesses to trying to get data. Again, when we talk about social engineering, exactly like as you just said, we're talking about a human factor, and that is huge. Between 90 and 98% of data being hacked, have a human component there. It might be somebody who accidentally brought a flash drive to work and plugged it in to show photo pictures from the wedding. It might be somebody who opened a Facebook and it wasn't facebook.com, it was phishing web page. It might be a hacked account that somebody opened, and was able to log in from the device. So there's multiple ways. So when we're talking about social engineering, we're talking about us just making clicks or listening to voicemails. Thank you for bringing up AI component. That is the latest and highly important thing to keep in mind. When somebody call you from real estate company asking if you'd like to sell a house, and you just trying to be polite and say thank you, I'm not interested at the moment, and they just record a few words that you tell them. There is a website that costs $5 to $20 per month. People just upload this recording to this website, and they can type any text, and it will be produced using a voice. It's the same with video. Your video clip from your YouTube or from Facebook can be captured and downloaded in another website, which is open to the public for a few dollars per month membership fee, and they can generate all type of different videos and put all type of words in your mouth, and it will be you talking. So there is no way for other people not to find difference. So we live in a world where the only way to be safer is to utilize zero trust approach, and it's a known concept, and we also try to push it further for everyone to be aware of it. So no matter who talk to you, zero trust approach should be default before you will share information or take any actions.
Okay, now I think you mentioned the term phishing, and that was one of the ones I used in marketing us for today. Phishing with an F means one thing, phishing with a PH means something totally different. Now, I get emails, I'm going to say at least once a month. It used to be from the Nigerian bank that has $5 million in it, and I need to, anyway. But they're more subtle nowadays. I get something and it says Bank of America, but it's not from a bankofamerica.com. But now the more sophisticated ones that I've seen being advertised on social media is that they will use the Cyrillic and the Roman letter A and just change it. I mean, it looks exactly what it is. And so you're, well, that's from a Bank of America. Well, no, the the A is not a Roman letter. It's a Cyrillic letter, and it's really not a bankofamerica.com. And so they're getting very sophisticated. We think we know what they are, but they're not. Are there anything else in email phishing that we really should be aware of right now?
Yes, thank you. Very good question. And we all have emails. We all have emails. We all have cell phones with text messages. And I believe over 95% of Americans having smartphones nowadays. So we all basically target for people to be able to email us and to text us. In terms of emails, the red flags, they have to have your first and last name. So if it's dear sir, or madam, it's a first red flag. You have to look at the details of where the email came from. So some email providers, if you click more details, will show you actual path of the server where it's coming from. So instead of Bank of America, it might say Feliks at gmail.com, and you will see it's coming actually from gmail.com. But the best way, instead of going to all this technical stuff, just to call to your bank. Just a zero trust approach. If, as I mentioned before, just remember, I put it in the front of my relatives on the wall saying zero trust. No matter what it is, no matter how great it is, you look at the wall in front of the computer and you see zero trust. So no matter how scary it is, you just have to call to the bank and just not to reply. People call from Chase Bank to me and saying, your account was hacked, and they sound very legitimate and saying my ID is 357B, I'm operator Nancy. And I'm saying, with all my respect, Nancy, let me call back to the main number. You just pull your business card, pull your credit card, and look in the back, call main number, Google this number, and call them and ask them for loss prevention and talk to them. So my 2 cents would be, no matter how great it is, no matter how decent it looks like, just to ignore it, take it. Don't just throw this message in the recycle bin. Just look it up, and if you want to be on the safe side, you initiate a phone call and you call to the bank and you check.
Okay, now you mentioned voice a moment ago. With AI, you have no idea whether that's your daughter talking on the phone or not. But with emails, there are a lot of hints and clues that it's probably bogus. Is there a clue or some kind of hint that a voice message may be not what we think it is?
Yes, and of course, this is a great question. So the main thing is the AI is not yet so sophisticated to be able to answer your questions. So except if there is a studio, and if there, in case if except if this is really targeted group of highly professional hackers who trying to get specifically somebody makes certain steps. But on general, if there is a general group of hackers who randomly sending emails to millions of emails and assuming that you have a Chase Bank or Bank of America or any other banks, and hoping that somebody will click on it, and if they do click and log in, they will transfer to real page and they will run away. And normally FBI is chasing them, and they will just shut down this page in a few hours as soon as they will collect a certain number of login information. But the best way for emails, I would recommend, one main thing is to look if email offer you alternative options. So if this is a legitimate email, they will always give you options to call, to give an extension, the phone number, and none of the banks that I ever had an account or credit card with ever had everything so automated where email will allow you to do everything. So banks understand people will afraid to do it. So I would recommend to fully ignore all email options that those emails offer you, and prior to clicking on anything, go and log in using your normal way. Go to the browser and log into your account directly instead of clicking on a link. Instead of talking to somebody using the phone number provided in the email, Google the phone number or get your credit card if it's available and look on the back and use the main number. It will take a few additional seconds for you to be transferred to the right department, but it will give you peace of mind and additional layers of security. So I would recommend, again, not to ignore it, not to just recycle it and put it in spam. Read it through and try to think prior to taking any actions, assuming worst case scenario. Remember, zero trust approach is the way to go. Thank you.
I know on social media nowadays I get friend requests, and I go to their account and there's only two people that are friends, and I've known this person for 40 years. That's an obvious one. But when they pull up on a brand new account on Instagram, well, okay, I want to connect with this guy. Felix, the guy, I want to connect, and all of a sudden, I said, okay, here's Felix on Instagram, brand new account. Okay, maybe he's wanting me to be one of the first people in there, and so I say, oh, how's everything with Darlene? And sometimes I get a response back if it's the real person, and sometimes I don't. And sometimes it's Darlene, and they'll say, who's Darlene? Because if they're really a hacker, they don't know whether Darlene exists or not. And so sometimes within a brief moment of communication with a hacker, unless they really know the history of something, I can tell pretty quickly. But that is only one way. I'm sure there are other ways that we can combat, these hackers that come in. What's some of the more ingenious ways that you've seen that hackers get into our, whether social media or SMS or voice or email, that you can identify and say, hey, I know what's going on. I don't need this.
Sure. Great question. And social media is the biggest arena for hackers to operate, unfortunately. Again, if you think about the first thing I want to say, for those of you who are using social media, you must have different email account, different email address when you use social media versus to your accounts for banking and financials. So if my email is Feliks Kravets at gmail.com and I use this one for banking, I would open another one, Felix from Illinois at yahoo.com or for Gmail, and I will use it for social media. Use of the same email address brings multiple questions, and your account will be, you will keep getting spammed. So I would recommend the main thing is to keep one email address for pure financial, for possibly friends, and the second one for everything which is social media and unknown. coupons from shoe store, anything where they're asking you want to win $25, enter your email, maybe you will win. And there's no way for somebody to come and to beat you up if you give them your email address, right? To steal something from you. So maybe you want to try. It probably might not be the case, but you never know. So I would recommend to keep one email separately from another and keep one for pure financial thing, a second one for for social media, for everything else. Second component is passwords. If you look at the data, majority of people in the United States using 2 or 3 passwords, and they have dozens of email addresses. Some people use one password and one email address, which is really exposing you to millions of hackers who have very easy way to get you. So if you receive email in your example from Facebook and say, "Hey, do you remember me?" Or "Look, my daughter get pregnant," you will say, "Oh, really? Who is this?" And you click on an email, and instead of facebook.com, it might be different letter, or it might be different subdomain name, and you didn't notice, or it might be short URL on your cell phone, and it will say something 3 letters .by, and you don't know if it's Facebook or not. It's look like a Facebook. You log in with your Facebook. Now they have your Facebook login. What they're going to do is they're going to email to all your friends information from you saying, "I went to Mexico City and somebody stole my wallet. Can you please send me $200? I will be back. I will give it." So they will try to talk to those people, try to identify if there is a way. Security question, another thing. Everybody is using where you was born and where did you meet your spouse. If you look in Dallas, Texas, well, what are chances you met your spouse in Dallas, Texas? Okay, it's a simple thing, and you need to very carefully look at social media. Social media, we are responsible for putting stuff there, and we tell everybody our date of birth. We tell everybody what we like to do, where we met a spouse, where we are from, what is our first language, what do we like for dinner. And Chase.com and every other bank will use the same question for security questions. So we exposing ourselves. So I would recommend, again, not to be highly cautious about things that people cannot use against you, but be very careful how much information you share on the social media. I'm not telling to lie and to go against the terms of use of those respectful companies and tell them different date of birth, but you can simply hide it so people would not know your date of birth. And check it out. Go today to Google and type your first and last name. See what people know about you. Type your email address and see where your email address appear in the World Wide Web. Put your cell phone number and see, where it is, what people would want to know, what people can get, what information they can get about you if they want to. So it will be helpful, and you might look at it very differently after seeing how much data is there about you when you receive those phone calls or messages through social media.
I really, really like the advice you gave. Keep your financial transactions, credit cards, whatever it may happen to be, on one email account, all your social stuff on other multiple accounts, because you just never you don't want to have everything jeopardized at one time. So that's pretty good. Let's talk a minute about passwords. There are a lot of different password things out there, protocols. It's interesting. I think on Windows 11 they want you a 4-digit number PIN, which I think is kind of crazy, because on Windows 10, I can put in all sorts of stuff with special characters. I thought that was a major decrease in my security on just Windows. Why would somebody like Windows just want a 4-digit number for a PIN to get into the system? That to me is crazy. So let's talk a little bit about passwords. What we all know, password is the worst one. 123 ABC, whatever it may happen to be. Have something. Me personally, I use Czechoslovakian and Japanese primarily as my passwords. I have normal things in there that I add special characters to, and not dates that are applicable to me, but dates that mean something to me in regard to something I've read or whatever else. So I try to keep them as weird as possible.
Yes.
But for passwords, let's say you have a brand new client and they were hacked, and what do you tell them about passwords?
So I just wanted to prevent, and thank you for asking this question. Really great, and I feel the same way. I believe that using different language might be the best way to do it. Unfortunately, it's not. So there's a software which is working really fast, which people developed, which will try to open all your accounts using the dictionaries. So every word in a dictionary is there, and it will take minutes to try to plug in the entire dictionary of the English words into specific spot trying to open an account. And the same is Japanese. I'm not 100% sure, but I what I'm sure about is there is a Japanese hackers and Chechen hackers, and the hackers from Russia, from China, from Canada, from Chicago, from everywhere in the world. So there is unfortunately hackers everywhere. So any word that you have, no matter what language it is a easy target for the software to plug in those words and to access your account. So if you Google 500 the most useful passwords, or 1,000 the most useful passwords, or 100 the most useful passwords, this is just the top of the iceberg. There is a much more sophisticated programs which will use dictionary of multiple languages to open it, to try to open it. So I would recommend two things in terms of passwords. One, not to use any words which wouldn't be considered a word in any languages. So if you use English language, not to use the word Chicago, but to use CHI and put inside maybe the year where you was born or the month where you was born, and after this put number sign or percentage and put specific numbers at the end. So this way the dictionary will not be able to make it. There's a website called How Secure Is My Password. I believe it's moved to secure.org, but if you Google How Secure Is My Password, that is a publicly again, it will transfer to a different website, but you can plug in the passwords and you can see how many seconds it will take to open your account. And you will be amazed, the also sophisticated password that we're using might take 2-3 minutes, a few seconds, a few days. So if you're okay with it, you can use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for I love you, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, even if we have password protection and we're highly sophisticated, please remember the companies can also be hacked and the servers can be hacked. And we're talking about, I just was reading today and I made a list of top companies. Mirrored 2018, 383 million accounts were hacked. More than population of the United States. Facebook, 420 million, more than population of the United States. Yahoo, 0.5 billion accounts were hacked 2016. More than population of the United States, much more. So we're talking about possibility of the entire company being hacked. No matter how sophisticated is your password, there's still possibility for hackers to go to the back door and still hack it. But for us, when you pick passwords, I would recommend two things. One, to have it highly complicated password where there is no full word that will say Chicago or Miami or Dallas, and just to insert it, something in between that people cannot figure out, and put a few characters at the end and put some numbers. And I know you have to change it. Don't use the same password everywhere. Use different ones. It's a headache. I would not recommend, with all my respect to major corporations offering safety of passwords, I would not give anybody my own passwords, because if they get hacked, So I would keep my passwords in the front on a piece of paper, old-fashioned way, and I would change those passwords maybe inside of your long, complicated password. Choose one letter or one number and keep changing this. So if you log in somewhere and password doesn't work, so instead of CHI 335, whatever end of Chicago number 26, maybe I will try 36. Doesn't work? 46. Doesn't work? 66. This way, the password might stay the same, but for people you will not be able to figure out how to break it, how to guess it. Okay, if you're saying Feliks 1, 2, 3, well, people can try 4, 5, 6, or they will see the how you think. But if you confuse them and keep changing the passwords, that is the best way to go.
Okay, so when these hackers use a dictionary, it not only takes the word Chicago, but it'll have a capital C and lowercase.
Yes,
capital
sir.
CH and lower. So it runs through all the capitalizations and everything else.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I just wanted to get clarified on that. We're getting down to the end of the show. You have a lot of services you offer. What's a good client for you? How do they get in touch with you? And what value do you provide?
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. So we run a company called Cybersecurity Easy. And it's not, I know it's not easy, but we're just trying to make it more compelling to clients. We help a few different groups. One is the seniors. Their biggest target based on FBI data published recently. Seniors in the United States is a major, biggest target for hackers and phone calls, emails, texting. You call it voice-based messages, the cloning of voice and pictures. We're also offering after-school program for middle schools and school districts. The middle schoolers nowadays is also a major target. By everybody has cell phones nowadays. We have a child who he was 3.5 going to first preschool or kindergarten. They get iPad. They don't know. He was still in diapers, but using iPad. So now with technology, all those children, unfortunately, is the biggest target, and FBI is monitoring and publishing these crazy numbers of hackers, pointing and targeting children. We offer services to insurance companies, offering cyber insurance to clients. It's always great to be able to help people before they break legs and to prevent this from happening, and prevent insurance companies from paying all those crazy amount of dollars due to data breaches. We coming to different keynote speaker events and talking to the public about cyber safety and on what they need to know in terms of cyber safety. So anything else we do not offer in terms of social engineering, we still be able to help. Please contact us, and our website is cybersecurityeasy.com. Thank you.
Dr. Felix, thank you so very much. As with most everything else we do on these programs, we start out with awareness, which we did today. A lot of us know a little bit about something. You take it beyond that into the educational area of what you provide to people. So I truly appreciate your time today. I learned a lot myself, and I look forward. Maybe we'll get back together again on this show and on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. There are other shows out there that I think your information would be very valuable. So I'm going to bid you adieu today and get ready to my next my next presentation in 11 minutes. And with that, Talking Heads is coming up very shortly on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. It's a program that I provide information on health and wellness. We're talking about how to achieve optimal health in 2024. We've been through a lot of things. Today, I'm going to finish up the section on diet, nutrition, and hopefully get into organ aging. Most of us are not aware that sometimes your brain or your heart or your liver can age at a faster rate than the other organs in your body. And when that happens, that can be a problem. Anyway, I'm going to say bye for today, and join me again here in a few minutes for Talking Heads. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Another great guest next week. Take care. Bye now.